Everybody's coming on. So welcome everyone. We're on day three of the Creating Abundant Health, Reversing Our Biological Age Naturally event. So welcome back. So glad you're with me for day three. We got some new people today, so welcome. And if you haven't seen days 1 and 2, go back to those videos and watch those as well, because there's lots of information in there. And so if you are here at day 3 and you've been following me every day, give yourself a pat on the back because you know you're really invested in your health, and that's exciting. Hi, Leanne. And Ellen's here, and Gail, Savannah, and Denise. Welcome everyone. Okay, so let me just get set up here and we'll get started. Okay, so as I said, we're talking today, day 3. It's about, sorry, there we go. We're talking, whoop. Gotta get the right notes, get ahead of myself. Okay, so day 3, we're going to talk about being at cause versus being at effect, taking 100% responsibility for your health. Okay, and really, we are 100% responsibility for our outcomes, for our results, which means our health and our relationships and our career and everything that's going on in our life. We are 100% responsible, which is really cool because we can design our life, right? We can design our life the way we want to. We often think, you know, there's obstacles and things that stop us, or, you know, people around us, like my boss will never give me that promotion, or, you know, I'm living with a narcissistic person. And so like, they just, you know, they're just difficult and I can't, you know, I can't have a good relationship with them. But you have control 100% in the way that you converse with people, the way that you take on your health and that identity for yourself. So, you know, we like to blame things on our, you know, health issues that we might have, or poor genes. You know, I was just given a, you know, a bad deck of cards, right? I got some bad genes and therefore I'm doomed to have these illnesses, or something else that's causing it, right? And something else that's not making you unhappy. Like, it's not you that's making yourself unhappy, it's somebody else is making you unhappy, or somebody else is making me anxious, or some sort of exterior from you influence that is stopping you in your tracks. But it is us that gets in the way. We get in the way of our own stuff. And so the thing is, knowing that you're 100% responsible for your outcome empowers you to make favorable changes and change, you know, shifts and changes. But not knowing this can keep you on that hamster wheel, right? Running in circles and not getting anywhere. And so after today, I'm hoping that you'll see a whole different way to kind of to present yourself in the world and to be, because really it's an easy shift to do. And once you do it, the results you get are so different. So I do encourage you to take on some of these and practice some of these things that we're going to be talking about today. You know, you might be saying, you know, but. Sorry, if people just keep coming in the room still. So, but, you know, you don't understand. My knees are bad, and you know, I just can't go for that hike. And you know, like excuse after excuse, or but I can't get along with my husband. You don't understand. He's got this big ego, and I can't get through to him. Or you know, but, like there's always these buts, like excuse after excuse to why you can't get the result that you want. And it keeps us stuck. It keeps us stuck. And so that's what I mean by being on the at cause side of the equation, or the at effect side of the equation. And when we're at the at cause, where we're taking responsibility, then we're in control of our own destiny. We're in control of our own health. We're in control of our life, right? And it's an attitude that seeks solutions, right? You get into that solution mindset opposed to problem mindset. And when you seek solutions, if proactively rather than reacting to events, the outcomes are much more favorable. And so when we're on that effect side of the equation, we're at the mercy of the events around us. You know, we're blaming, shaming, making people feel wrong for doing things to us, right? We're in that victim role, and we're constantly putting Band-Aids on the wounds, And we like to blame our health issues on, you know, as I said, on our genes, you know, poor genes, bad genes. And as I said on day one, the thing is, we have to turn those genes on. Just because we have genes and we're more susceptible to a certain disease because it's in our genetic makeup does not mean that we're going to get it, right? The way that we get these diseases is by breaking down our immune system. And so if we're always putting, you know, things, you know, if we're always trying to build up our immune system instead of, you know, putting, you know, different fires on top of it and stripping that immune system, we'll never get that disease. We have to be doing things that weaken the immune system and set us up for that disease. Okay. And so, you know, when you're on the cause side of the equation, you have the attitude that I influence, right? I influence and take responsibility for everything that happens in my life. And so if you have a business, and the pandemic is a great example, you know, you might say, oh, we're in a pandemic. There's no way I can operate my business. There's all these restrictions. I have to close down. I can't have any people in my restaurant. And, you know, you close down and you say, you go into that, you can go into the cause side and say, you know what? Okay, yep, this is an obstacle. The pandemic is an obstacle, but what can I do to get around that obstacle and create success? And it was very obvious. You saw restaurants who did really well, and you saw restaurants who did very poor, right? And those restaurants that did well, they were on the cause side of the equation. And those that didn't do so well were on the effects side. You know, it's like, poor me, this is happening to me, you know, and they never did the right actions. They stayed in their little box. They didn't think big, and they didn't look for opportunities. They didn't look how they could do things differently. And those companies that did things differently, actually, you know, a lot of them created more wealth and created a better design for their restaurant. And also, if you're on the cause side, you know, you have the attitude that I'm responsible for maintaining the relationships in my life, whether it be, you know, relationship with your boss, coworkers, family members, significant other. You're responsible for those relationships. And if you come from a place of love opposed to a place of, you know, attacking, or, you know, like you would be if you're on the effect side, if you're on the cause side, you're coming from a place of love. So, you know, if you're in the parking lot and you slide into a parking space, and then somebody comes and starts running at you and starts yelling at you and saying, you took my parking spot, because this has happened many times. You've taken my parking spot. How dare you? And they start yelling at you. You have a choice. You have a choice to say, oh, I apologize. I'm so sorry. I wasn't thinking, or whatever you want to say. But you come from a very calm, a place of love and understanding, right? Or you can start yelling back and start, you know, saying swear words to them, or, you know, get into this big confrontation, right? You have two choices. The thing is, if somebody comes attacking you, if you come from a place of love and you don't respond in the way they want you to attack back, right? They want to have that argument. And if you don't respond, they're going to get bored and go away, right? So you have control over that relationship or that interaction. You can come from that place of love and not have the emotions attached to it. As soon as we get our emotions attached to something, and that fires us up, that's when we become combative, right? So if you take the emotion right out of it and you come from a place of love and understanding, then the outcome will be a lot more favorable for you.
There's a question.
Okay,
for you, T.
Sorry, say that again.
There's a question in there in the chat for you that's pretty good.
Oh, okay, thank you, Lee. So Mark says, but I'm confused. You can only take responsibility for the things that you can control, right? So you're 100% responsible for your part in it, right? You're 100% responsibility to how you react. Like the pandemic was out of our control. And some people, like it's an event that we couldn't do anything about it. It's the fact a pandemic happened. We couldn't do anything about it, but we had 100% responsibility to what we did to adjust to the pandemic. And we could adjust and make something favorable come out of it, or we could adjust or just let it happen to us and play that victim role of poor me, I lost my job, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of people who lost their job, but there's a lot of those people who created a new vibrant business from that event of losing their job. So you have 100% responsibility to create or to design your life around different obstacles. Does that make sense, Mark? Yeah. Okay, awesome. Thank you for that question. That was good. Okay. So what is characteristics of someone who is on the cause side of the equation? If you're on the cause side of the equation, you're taking responsibility. You're being decisive, right? You know what you want. You've got a clear vision of what you want, and it's in alignment to what's important to you and keeping you in a safe environment, right? It's keeping you safe and your emotions calm and collective, and you're staying in alignment with what's important to you, right? It's when we're incongruent with our core values that we get onto the effect side of the equation. And so we're proactive, right? We're just like that picture I showed yesterday where there's two lines. One, the line for a healthy lifestyle, there was nobody in that line. The other line, everybody was in it, the lineup for the pills and the surgery, right? If you take a proactive viewpoint, then you're not going to need pills and surgery, right? If you keep your immune system strong and your body's vibrant and alive and full of energy and working efficiently, you don't need to be in that other line. So being proactive can prevent you from a lot of hardship later on. So being proactive, taking action, they're action takers, right? They don't sit back and sit in that victim role. They're powerful. They're empowered to design their life the way they want, and they do it. They move things forward, and they're in control of their emotional states without being influenced by others, right? They don't let other people get them angry, or other people don't make them unhappy or sad, right? They are in complete control of their own emotions, because you can control how you react to a situation, right? If you take your emotions out of it. They have initiative as well, right? They're not just sitting back and letting things happen to them. They're taking that initiative to look for those opportunities that are going to advance them into a direction that's in alignment with their passions and their values. And they're making things happen. They're making things happen. They're not waiting. They're not waiting for anybody. They're taking 100% responsibility, and they're leaders. But when we're on the effect side of the equation, you're in that blame, shame, making wrong, judgment mindset. You procrastinate. You're reactive, right? You're reactive. So you're on that. You're in that pills and surgery lineup, because you're just putting that Band-Aid on each problem. You're just reacting to each of those problems. You're in the mindset, oh, I just put up with that, right? I'm just putting up with that. But you don't have to put up with anything. And you feel like you have no choice. I have no choice. I have to do that. You feel powerless. And you respond to other people's emotions, like that person in the parking spot. He comes at you angry. You respond back angry, and then it turns into a fight, or something horrible happens. You're in that mindset of you have no control, right? You have excuses, and you're fatalistic. You believe that all events are predetermined. Just like I said with the genes, you believe that it's, the genes, I was dealt that card, that's just going to happen, right? And then, when we start to think like that, we attract that into our life. And many people have it, and almost like have a fatalistic attitude when it comes to their health, right? A couple of years ago, I went to a seminar by Jack Canfield. Does everybody know who Jack is? Yeah, some people may not. Jack actually, he's an inspirational speaker. He wrote the Chicken Soup series. The Chicken Soup series. Yeah, so he wrote this Chicken Soup series, and he said, when he started to write the Chicken Soup series, he knew in his heart, in his soul, that people needed to hear that message. The problem was people weren't ready for it, right? So he had his book, and he was going to publisher after publisher, and he was getting no. The book is not going to sell. We're not going to take it on. And he went to about 1,000 publishers. Each one prior said no. The 1,000th publisher said yes. Had he not pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, because he believed that he had something amazing, and found that publisher who would say yes, he wouldn't be where he is today. He's a multimillionaire. He's written hundreds of those Chicken Soup books, and they're amazing, inspirational books. They're inspirational stories about people's lives where good things have happened, right? And so he was on the cause side of the equation. He was not going to give up. He knew he had something. He had obstacle after obstacle after obstacle, but he kept pushing. And he managed to get a yes, and managed to get his book out there to the masses. And he also taught me something that really stuck. And he said, if you have an event, you can't change it, right? You have this event. Like the pandemic is a pandemic. Everybody will tell you on March 2020, the world shut down. But so that's the event. That's the facts. You add your response to that event, you get your outcome. So you have an event plus your response equals your outcome. If you don't like your outcome, you change the response. right? The event's stationary. You can't change it. It's facts. It is what it is. But if you don't like your outcome, change your response to get the outcome that you want. Very powerful. Very powerful. It goes back to, you know, what we talked about yesterday with focus and your physiology, right? Focusing on what you are trying to get, and change your response so that that happens for you. You know, for example, if you lose your job, say you work for a corporate company, you know, you work really hard, you've worked long hours, you've given it everything, right? You've given everything you've got to this company, but the company is struggling. It's not doing well. Their numbers aren't there. They have to make some cuts, and you're on the chopping block. And so your boss comes up to you and says, "I'm sorry, but you know, we're going to have to let you go." So the fact is, the company's not doing well, and they have to let people go, right, to bring their numbers back up. That's the fact. He could have the reaction like, "Oh, my boss, he never liked me. He's just trying to find an excuse to get rid of me. This is his excuse. I can't believe I put all this work in, and he's doing this to me." And you can go on and on. You go home, you mope, you lie on the couch, you just eat bonbons all day, and you don't go out and get a new job because you're so depressed and upset. And so you're unemployed. So your outcome is you're unemployed. Your response is that you're taking the victim role, and you're now unemployed. You could take that same scenario where, you know, they have to cut numbers, you're let go, and you could have the response, "Thank goodness, because now I can do what I really want to do. You know, I can let go of that security of that job. I no longer have that security, but now I'm going to put all my effort into building a bakery. I really want to build my own bakery, and that's what I'm going to do." And so you work really hard, you make the bakery a reality. It happens for you. It becomes very successful. And that's the outcome you get. Same exact scenario, same exact event, but the response is different, and therefore it dictates a different outcome. Right? So we are in control of our own destiny. Nobody else is. We're 100% responsible. We like to blame others or circumstances for a situation, but when we go deep into it, we're 100% responsible, right? And fear of failure and fear of success are the two biggest beliefs that keep us stuck, right? Fear of failing is a big one. And a lot of people have fear of success, right? If I'm successful, maybe people won't like me. You know, maybe I don't want to outdo my parents. I don't want to be more rich than my parents. If you have that mindset, it's going to keep you stuck, right? And the thing is, there's no failure. There's no failure. Look at Jack Canfield. If he looked at all those no's as failure, then he wouldn't be where he is today. Failure is feedback. That's all it is. It's teachings, it's learnings. So if something doesn't work out the way you want it, you figure out how you could do it differently, and then you try it again. And then if it still fails, you tweak it again and you try it again. If you look at any successful business, like really successful business person, they have failed numerous times, right? Numerous times. They didn't get it right the first time. They failed time and time and time again. And that's why they are where they are, because they kept tweaking and perfecting, tweaking and perfecting, tweaking and perfecting, right? And there's no unresourceful people. There are no unresourceful people. There's only unresourceful states, right? Being an unresourceful state of fear of success, fear of failure, that's unresourceful. But there are no unresourceful people. Everybody has their own genius and contribution to the world. It's just sometimes we don't let people see our genius. We don't let people see what we have to offer because we're afraid. We're afraid of that failure, afraid of that success. Okay. And so what I recommend you do is listen to the languaging that you're saying. Like when you say something, stop and just kind of dissect it and listen to what the words are, because there's certain key words that you'll say that will put you onto that effect side of the equation. And I'm not saying that you're always on the effect side or you're always on the cause side. You might have days where you're on the effect side, right? But if you can recognize when you're on the effect side and get over to the cause side quickly, that's going to create more success for you, right? And so being able to recognize when you are in that effect side. So if you're saying things like, X causes Y, you cause me to be angry, right? You cause me to be angry, or my sore knees cause me to be immobile, right? Then you're in on that effect side equation. If you're saying things like if then, right? If I had a successful business, then I'd be happy. No, you need to be happy now for no reason, right? You don't need a business or a fancy car or something else to make you happy, or the perfect relationship. That's not going to make you happy. You have to be happy within yourself right now. Because once you get that business, guess what? You're still not going to be happy because you haven't fulfilled what your needs are to be happy. Okay. Or if you say, I'll be happy when I get out of debt. You'll get out of debt and then you'll still be searching for happiness, right? Or if you're using words like because or forces, he forces me to do that, or allows, or makes, he makes me so angry, or any other word that implies a cause-effect relationship between parts. Okay, but more examples. If he buys me flowers, then I'll be happy. If only he had come home on time, the party wouldn't have gotten out of control. It was her friendly smile that made me walk up and say hi. My mom makes me do my homework. My husband made me so angry. And so what I encourage you to do is find an area in your life right now that you're not completely happy with. You're not completely happy with the outcome. And just write it down. You can create a journal where you're doing this kind of work, but write it down. And then write 3 things that you could do right now to change that outcome. Change that outcome into something that's more favorable for you. Okay. And you can do that for homework. I'm going to do an exercise with you right now. And I got this one from Tony as well, Tony Robbins. And so I'm going to demonstrate it. So what I want you guys to do is we're going to stand up. Okay, we're going to stand up. You see me? Okay. And I want you to put your hand out in front of you. Okay, just put your hand out in front of you. And it's really good if you do this, because if you just watch, it won't be empowering. But if we do the exercise, you'll see the point that I'm trying to make. Okay, so I want you to put your hand out in front of you. And I want you just to go as far as you can behind you, just as far as you possibly can, okay? And just notice where that is. Okay, so come back. You're keeping your feet stationary, right? Your feet are kind of close together. Your feet are stationary, your arm up about shoulder height and going all the way around to the front. or to the back as far as you can. Just keep going to your max. Okay, good. Now, I want you to just stand there, close your eyes, and I want you to envision raising that arm up again. Don't do it, but just envision that you're doing it in your mind's eye. And just go do that same thing. Try to go as far as you possibly can. And I want you to try to go twice as far. Go twice as far this time in your mind's eye. And now I want you to try to go 3 times as far. And treat it like a game. You try to go as far as you can. And this time, try to go all the way around to the front. Just like an owl's head, right? You're going all the way around to the front. And just imagine that you're doing that. Okay, so come back to center and open your eyes. Okay, I want you to do that same thing. You're going to raise your arms up and you're going to go as far as you possibly can. As far as you possibly can. Okay, good. Now just put in the chat, did you go the same distance? Did you go further? If you went further, what percentage did you go further? Okay, so who was that? Okay, so Steve said about 15% further, I think. And then Mark said about 10%. Okay, Caitlin said about 15. Savannah about 15, and then Ellen 15. And Tina went further. And Leanne went about 20% further. Okay, so why didn't you go that far the first time? If you went further, why didn't you go that far the first time? Your potential was the same, right? Because I just had you envision. I only had you envision it. You took action, but you got a different outcome. So why do you think that is? Put it in chat if you know the answer. It hurt. Oh, the first time you felt that it was going to hurt you. Okay, got it. Yes. Okay, so there was some fear, right? That you might hurt yourself. It was out of your comfort zone. Okay, it's out of your comfort zone. Good. That's awesome. We did not believe that we could go further, right? We had the fear that I'm going to hurt myself. You had the fear, you were worried to go outside your comfort zone, probably for the same reason that it's going to be too far. I might hurt myself. But I didn't ask you to do anything different except for imagine that you went further. And so that is a really good demonstration of how when you believe you can do something, you can do it, right? When you have the belief that you can do it, you can do it. The problem is our fears get in the way and it stops us right in our tracks. So if we can overcome the fear, then we will progress so much better. We'll get out of that comfort zone. Yeah, it might feel a little bit uncertain and scary out there, but that's where real change happens, when you're outside your comfort zone. Most of us stay in our little box, right? Because the fear is too overwhelming. But if we venture out and try to do more, or try to do things where, before maybe we didn't believe we could do, if we just change our mindset to, I believe I can do this, I believe in myself, then it can make enormous change in your life. Enormous change. Awesome. Okay, so what I want you to do for homework is to find that one thing in your life right now that's not going the way that you want it to be going, and then write down 3 things that you could change and start taking action towards it, right? To start taking that action towards making that change into a more favorable outcome. And just to summarize for today's, we are 100% responsible for our own life, our own health, our own everything. We are 100% responsible. And so being on that cause side of the equation is where change happens, where opportunity happens, where we start living an abundant life, where we're living high quality life. We're living with aliveness. We're living with vitality, right? When you can stay on that cause side of the equation. So always finding, as I said, failures are only information, and finding solutions to the obstacles that come, that you're fronted with on, a daily, monthly, weekly, whatever basis. We're going to have things kind of, we're going to have these obstacles. That's life. But how we react to those obstacles can be transformational. Okay. And as I said, for homework, do that exercise. I think it would be very empowering if you do that exercise, and you'll start to see how just doing these small little tweaks can start to change your life. And so tomorrow we're going to be talking about self-discovery. And I really feel that self-discovery is the highest form of healing, right? Getting really good at going inward and figuring out, where our emotions are, where, there's some discomfort in the body, what might be going on, and being that detective to discovering different things that might not be going right at this moment in your life, because we don't take that time to really do that. So we're going to talk about how we can do that, and because once we kind of understand how we tick and what's going on at a deep level, then that's when we can start to make the changes that are going to be favorable for us. So hope to see you guys tomorrow for that. And I'm just going to open it up to questions. If anybody has any questions about today, you can unmute yourself. No questions? You guys are, either it was clear as mud or you're a tough crowd. This is fantastic info, Tia. Thank you so much for everything. Oh, you're very welcome. Very welcome, Lee. I'm glad it resonated.
I agree with Lee. I think it was fabulous stuff today, and I really like that exercise.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's really it really makes us think how much we keep ourselves really living small, right? Yeah. We keep ourselves, push ourselves down, and don't really use our full potential. So
right, you are.
Yeah.
I wrote a little, I don't know where I got it, but it's a little saying. It says, don't let the concept of change scare you as much as the concept of staying unhappy.
Ah, yes. That's very good. I like that.
Kind of ties in.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. And having these little mantras, things that you say to yourself as reminders each day is very, very helpful to keeping on track. Mhm.
I'm trying to read that every day because I'm in the process of changing my home.
Right, right. And that changes sometimes. A lot of people have a hard time with change. And it's quite normal because a lot of people do have that. But if we don't look at it as, if we can look at it as an opportunity and, how can I make this new next step the best, the best for me? If we always look at it as opportunity and not, this is, I'm not going to have this anymore. I'm not going to have that anymore. If we start to look at what we're not going to have that we used to have, and not look to the opportunities, we kind of get stuck too. So try to find all the opportunities. What's better in your new location, or what's yeah. Awesome. Good. So no more questions?
I read something on a wall in Belleville, Ontario. It was on the St. Vincent de Paul building. And it said, the fear of moving forward will hold you back. And that became my mantra.
Yes.
When I was first starting to sail down to the Bahamas and so forth, going out. And I kept remembered that was on my website. And I always keep that. That's always in my mind.
Perfect. That's perfect. Yes. And it's empowering when we read these mantras each and every day, because it brings our focus back. Because as I say, we kind of we get distracted by everything that we're doing throughout the day, and having the, coming back. That's why I think tomorrow's class is so powerful, because it allows you to go inward and really get to know yourself. Because I don't think a lot of people really know themselves, right? They don't know what makes them tick. They don't know what their values are. They don't know, because they don't take the time to really they're just kind of reacting to everything that's being thrown at them throughout the day, right?
Yeah, like yesterday afternoon, I'm sorry I'm going here, but
No, perfect. I love the conversation.
my uncle, we had a bunch of trees come down in a microburst that happened a month ago. There was a lot of damage here, and he's been cutting the trees up, and he's got a tractor. So I said, I've been on this thing before, but I never really knew how to drive it. So I got on it and I said, I'm going to practice. And I started driving it around, figuring out how to move the bucket up and down and sideways and stuff like this. And next thing you know, I'm lifting these really huge logs. And he was showing me how it worked, just telling me, do this, do that. And I learned how to drive the tractor. I was moving these really huge logs around. And then he showed me the throttle. And it was great. I had a great time. I learned how to drive a tractor yesterday.
See, you went outside your box.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
See, and you had a good time. You wouldn't have experienced that if you just said, well, I have fear of tractors, or I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know
so
how to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Is there anything else before we wrap up? Let me just check the chats. There's a few I think I might have. You're very welcome. Who was that? Okay, Lee, and then Tina's looking forward to the homework. Awesome. It's a good exercise to do, and it's a good exercise to do often, right? But just taking one thing at a time. Great. Well, thank you guys so much for today. Have an amazing day, and I'm going to see you guys tomorrow, hopefully.
Thanks, Tina.
Okay, great conversation today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.